Good afternoon, staff. I hope you've had a wonderful day and are ready to learn about positive reinforcement and praise. Today, we will discuss a variety of ways we can implement positive reinforcement and praise with our students. Positive reinforcement and praise is a part of teaching that we all fall short on, but our students need it. They need to know that they are doing a lot of the right things in the classroom and not just inappropriate things. This PowerPoint presentation will focus on ways we can improve our teaching and strategies that can be implemented. What is positive reinforcement? Positive reinforcement is defined as a stimulus when presented after the occurrence of a behavior that increases the future occurrence of that behavior. There are two parts to the principle of positive reinforcement. If in a given situation someone does something that is followed immediately by a certain consequence, then that person is more likely to do the same thing again when she or he encounters a similar situation. An example of this would be a student who gains positive reinforcement or praise because they are always at school on time, and upon entering the classroom, they unpack their belongings, place their folders in the appropriate trays, proceeds to wash their hands, and begin their bell work without a teacher instructing them to do so. Because they are immediately praised for their good behavior or given a reward, more than likely this student will continue to show this type of behavior. So, guidelines of effectiveness: ignoring inappropriate behavior, immediate reinforcement, reinforcing contingently, recognizing reinforcement is individual, not group, but individual, restricting access to reinforcement, reinforcement approximations of behavior, reinforcing continually at first, and reinforce intermediately after behavior is established. So non-contingent reinforcement is defined as a function-based intervention for decreasing challenging behaviors. Preferred items or teacher attention are some of your non-contingent reinforcements. These consequences can be a result of wanting preferred items or the teacher's attention. This reinforcement can be implemented at intervals regardless of the behavior. How can we use this resource? This resource can be used to address minor or serious challenging behaviors within the classroom. Adult praise is a form of focused attention that communicates approval and positive regard. Adult praise is underutilized and could be useful for a teacher who needs to focus more on providing positive feedback and rewards that outweigh the actual behavior. When managing classroom behaviors, praise should be immediate, frequent, descriptive, and involve eye contact. When praise is effectively reinforced, it increases a variety of appropriate behaviors. Praises of positive behavior decreases disruptive behavior, and praise combined with decreased attention to problem behaviors lead to decreases in talkouts and arguing with teacher requests. When we talk about opportunities to respond, strategies of this nature can provide awareness to teachers of what strategies can be used to increase praise and opportunities to respond. An example we can use would be to auto-tape yourself. A teacher can auto-tape themselves teaching in their daily instruction, and when listening to the recording, they could count and calculate the estimated rate of praise towards their students. When creating class rules, teachers tend to make rules consisting of words that seem as if the adults expect the children to break them. So we can't just create rules, we must ensure that they are manageable. We shouldn't just create rules for students, but also ensure that we use terms in a more positive aspect to teach children the positive versus the negative. This will help teachers who have behavior management issues within their classrooms. Examples of these type of rules would be a teacher telling the students that the rules of the classroom are: we do not hit, we do not kick, we do not spit, we do not bite, we do not use unfriendly words towards our friends. When we give students rules of that nature, all they hear is the negative aspect of the rule and not the positive. So when we talk about rewording rules, we talk about the teacher instructing the kids of how they should treat their friends. We treat our friends with respect. We treat our friends with love. We use friendly touches. We use friendly words. Using those types of terms will allow the child to focus more on the positive versus the negative. Teachers should also hold class meetings which allow children to be involved in setting guidelines and reteaching the use of existing rules that are beneficial in the classroom. When you hold these class meetings, allow the children to stand up and tell you what the rules of the classroom should be. They know positive from negative, so they know right from wrong. So it is easy and it makes them feel like they're part of the process versus someone just telling them what they should and should not do within the classroom. So let's talk a little bit about research. So research has shown that children who demonstrate disruptive behavior require the most positive reinforcement to remain appropriately behaved, but yet they receive the least. Students who are off task and have disruptive behaviors may affect the learning of that student and others in the classroom. The components of effective attending should be specific, immediate, consistent, frequent, and preventative. So we all know that if we have a child with behavior disorders in our classroom, it does cause that child to be off task along with their peers. Research has also shown that the use of these strategies can demonstrate teacher approval of student behavior in order to encourage future use of the same behaviors. So student recognition, such as receiving good grades, praising students for raising their hand, it can be the smallest things just to recognize a student for. You can recognize a student for sitting in their seat appropriately. You can praise or give student recognition for turning their work in on time, just the small things. Interactions between a teacher and a student who is identified as being at risk for having emotional and behavioral disorders most likely result in over-reliance on negative exchanges. Staff, please understand that feedback is very important between a teacher and a student for building understanding, promoting healthy interactions, and providing welcoming classroom climates. Studies have revealed that teachers deliver more negative feedback to these students than they deliver to the entire classroom population. And the children recognize when they are being reprimanded over and over again versus their friends in the classroom. Teachers need to understand the importance of positive feedback strategies to promote pro-social and appropriate behaviors for purposes such as reducing educational failure and improving outcomes in jeopardy of school failure. Let's talk about a couple of strategies we can use to improve student behavior. What we as a staff need to understand is that we need to think small and catch students being good. Here I have some simple ways you can catch students being good, such as sitting quietly, asking or answering questions, writing an answer, raising their hand, lining up for recess, or helping other students. A great and simple technique that can be used is the gotcha technique. To implement this technique, the students are given gotcha cards for engaging in appropriate school-wide behaviors. When the student receives the card, they may bring it to the office to trade in for a treat. This is a technique that can involve the entire staff. When we talk about entire staff, we talk about the administrative staff, we talk about all the teachers, we talk about all the specials teachers, we talk about even the custodial staff, the secretarial staff, the counselors. If you want, you can have other friends give gotcha cards to a friend that they see are doing the right thing. Another reinforcer you can use in your classroom are spinners. You can create spinners which allow students to participate in something fun, such as listening to music, eating lunch with the teacher, having a special classroom job, or simply be the classroom teacher helper. When you catch a student being good, they can be given the opportunity to take a spin to see what treat they will get. Again, we need to think small. A lot of people think big. A lot of teachers think big. They think that a student has to do something above and beyond. Sometimes it's just the simplest things a student can do that they're really, really working hard on, that we can give them some student recognition or some teacher praise, just to motivate them to continue with those appropriate and positive behaviors. So in conclusion, positive reinforcement is the most powerful and effective method for increasing or maintaining appropriate behaviors. If behavior does not increase when followed by some consequences, that consequence was not a positive reinforcer. So what that means is, if you are trying something over and over again and it's just not working and that child is still showing these inappropriate behaviors, you may need to try something else, because every positive reinforcement does not work on every child. So in the beginning, when we talked about it is individual, it is definitely individual, because every child needs a different type of reinforcer or a different type of praise to get them to where they need to be behavioral wise. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation, and if you have any questions about the presentation, please feel free to come to me after the meeting, or you can shoot me an email at kenesha.moulton@cms.nc.nk. Thank you and have a great afternoon.